Sonny, that we can circumnavigate the North Pole, right? About the North Pole.
You mean traveling on a flat plane that we're using a compass, and as we travel, let's say we're going east or west?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so as you're traveling east to west, do you perceive yourself to be going in a circle, or do you perceive yourself to be moving in a straight line?
You perceive yourself as following the compass.
Yeah, and do you perceive yourself as going in a straight line or going in a circle?
Okay, how would you do that if you're constantly adjusting to the compass heading? How would you know?
By using your senses. I'm saying when you're traveling in an eastward or westward.
You already told me you've never been navigating out at sea, so you're speculating again.
Well, yeah, I'm asking you a question. If you're traveling eastwardly or westwardly and you're circumnavigating, do you perceive yourself to be traveling in a circle, or do you perceive yourself to be going in a straight line?
You're trying to go in as straight a line as possible to get to your next location. But as you're traveling, what you actually see is you see your compass. It's not like when you're holding a course out at sea and you're in the ocean, every time a wave hits, it knocks you slightly off course, one way or another, depending on which direction. The winds are also pushing you, whether you have sails up or not. So you have the waves pushing you. They could be crossways or diagonally to your line of travel. The winds could be the opposite direction, so they're pushing you in the opposite direction. So what you're doing is you're constantly adjusting the helm of the boat to stay on course. It just doesn't stay right. Like if you're going 270 degrees west, it doesn't stay on 270 like constantly. It's constantly moving as you're traveling because you're being buffeted by waves and wind and currents. So you have to make constant adjustments. So you would not sense that.
Yep.
All you would see is differences in your travel on your compass, which the compass can only work on a flat plane as well.
This is funny, Sonny, because you're using my own argument against me. Like, you argue against this point when I bring it up with the helicopter. I'm like, the helicopter's constantly adjusting. It's not the inertial frame. And you're like, no, it's still. But now you're using the same argument, but in reverse.
Yeah,
it's constantly adjusting.
Yeah, because you're talking apples and oranges. One's above the surface of the earth in the air, and the other's on the ocean on the wave with the waves. Two different things.
Yeah, but similar.
No, they're not similar at all. You could tell with a helicopter or a drone that you're in the same position. There's no acceleration. You're statically in the air.
No, I didn't take your key. I gave it back to you.
So the ground is not moving.
I gave it to you in the car. Helicopter. Before we got in the car.
If you're saying the ground is moving underneath the helicopter, then why isn't the ground moving underneath hummingbirds or small insects or birds?
Well, I never said that. That's okay. Yeah, because this is a misunderstanding that I'm constantly hearing here. When we say that the Earth is moving under the pendulum, that's you have the wrong idea in your head.
I'm not talking about a pendulum. Did I mention a pendulum? I said drones, hummingbirds, birds, or insects, and you went to pendulums. The pendulum is attached to the same thing that you're saying it's moving under it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so not a point.
It is a point.
The pendulum's attached to the ground.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not separate from the ground and a different reference point.
Exactly.
So you can't tell with a pendulum. Anyway, I wasn't even talking about pendulums. They're a non-proof of anything other than a contraption.
Well, see, when you're talking about like the hummingbird or a helicopter or a drone or something, yes, it's left the surface. The pendulum is still attached to the surface.
Yeah, I'm not talking about pendulum. So I want to know when a hummingbird lifts off from the ground, how he's adjusting his speed, because as he would leave the surface, that means an increase in speed. He would have to keep a certain speed to maintain his position. As the diameter of a circle increases, that would mean it's moving faster.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're saying the atmos connected to the Earth. So if that's true, then anything leaving the surface would have an increase in speed going up in elevation or altitude, and a decrease in speed going down from altitude to the surface. So aircraft would have to be increasing and decreasing their speed as they went higher and lower, and they're not doing that. We have the flight data and the pitch data to prove that.
Well, the circumference is 25,000 miles, so an extra.
Yeah, so 1,000 miles at the surface. So how is the hummingbird or the butterfly maintaining their position, yet they're still traveling at 1,000 miles and increasing speed, let's say at 1,038 miles at the surface when they go up, then, increasing their speed as they go up. So like 10 feet would be a higher speed to maintain their position, and 20 feet or 100 feet would be a higher speed to maintain the position.
Yeah, but you're talking about a difference from 25,000 miles.
Hummingbirds aren't doing that. Okay, tell me how a hummingbird is adjusting its speed to maintain its position on a spinning globe.
Okay, well, it wouldn't have to, because 25,000 miles, 10 feet, there's no difference there. So, it wouldn't be like you're going faster.
So 3 or 4 miles an hour wouldn't matter? So they'd be 3 or 4 miles off position, and that's okay?
It wouldn't even be a fraction of a percent of that. 10 feet to 25,000 miles?
Tell me how much then. You're the one that's the glober. Tell me how much.
It would be a fraction of a percent.
Okay, tell me what fraction it is, and we'll change that. We'll turn that into feet.
That's negligible.
No, it isn't, because the Earth's spinning at 1,038 miles an hour at the surface. So I want to know, when you increase in elevation, how that is changing.
Yeah, but an increase of 10 feet from 25,000 miles is negligible, is what I'm saying.
Okay, how about 30,000 feet?
Still negligible. From 25,000 miles?
Okay, you're telling me negligible, so you're just speculating again. Okay, I get it. So why is it that the globe and all of its trappings end up at the very end of it, when we're trying to get to a resolution of how these things are happening, it just goes to imagination again?
Well,
so all you have back in your claim is imagination. I just guess it's doing this. I just guess it's negligible, but I can't tell you exactly how many feet off position. You're the glober. You should be that. You should be the expert in the field as far as what your globe is doing. But no globers have this information.
Well, Sonny, you just said you're correct that as the circle circumference enlarges, the speed increases. But if your circumference is 25,000 miles, then an increase in a couple thousand feet isn't going to do anything.
Bullshit! It's 1,000 miles per hour. That's what you're missing.
No, I'm not missing
how fast they're saying it's supposed to be spinning.
Well, that's not how fast it's spinning.
That means the hummingbird could be like 3 or 4 blocks off in a couple of minutes.
Well, that's
a percentage. Yeah. So 3 or 4 blocks.
That's linear speed.
So the hummingbird's way off on the other side of town now. Even if it was off a quarter mile an hour, the hummingbird could not maintain its position.
Yeah, it's nowhere near that.
I want you to tell me how or what the hummingbird is using in its brain or its whatever mechanism. Where's that information? How is the hummingbird staying stationary?
It's not sensitive enough to measure a difference that small.
Yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit, man.
Yeah, apparently it's so not small that Neil deGrasse Tyson claims that a football game outcome is determined by it.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, just because somebody says some bullshit.
Spins under footballs, not under hummingbirds, drones, helicopters, hot air balloons.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
No, it's not that it's spinning under that. There's a conservation of angular momentum. You know that if you're driving a car. I
want to see that in the chat. Exactly. And I want to know at every elevation how that's affecting it. Go ahead. Put it in the chat, Mushcain.
Or just a single interview of any fucking punter ever mentioning that he's always taking into account the spin of the earth when he's kicking his 40-yard field goals.
Yeah, so you're saying angular momentum is being conserved, so I want to know exactly where's the model for that. Put that in the chat, Mushcain. Let's see it. Yeah, I want to see feet. I want to see feet, yards, miles, and seconds.
And he also just argued for no Coriolis effect.
Yep. Said is negligible. Yeah, so no Coriolis, thanks. Exactly. I mean, like, you guys talk out of both sides of your mouth at the same time. It's doing this, but it's not affecting anything. Oh, you're going higher in the air and you're not spinning faster. But like the Earth is supposed to be spinning and the Atmo is supposed to be spinning with it. So that means, how could anything travel that way?
Sonny, that's like me saying, okay, you know that heat rises when you jump up in the air. Did your head get hotter? Oh, didn't? I guess heat must not rise.
Holy shit. You just jumped from one topic to another. Totally off topic. Not related.
That's what you're saying. Like, oh, if the hummingbird goes up in elevation, it must be going faster.
You're saying now that heat, you go up in height, that the temperature change. Was I talking about temperature change?
Yeah, you're saying the circle enlarges, you go faster.
No,
well, you go up in elevation, it gets hotter, right?
I didn't mention temperature at all. I mentioned distance, speed, and distance at elevation. You're missing the fucking point.
As you raise in elevation, it gets hotter. As you raise in circumference, you go faster.
How does that have to do with your position?
Because if you go up in elevation, you don't feel like you're getting hotter, do you?
Shut the fuck up. Is temperature telling you where your position is?
You see the analogy. Just because you increase in elevation doesn't mean you're going to notice an increase in speed. Just because you increase in elevation doesn't mean you're going to notice an increase in heat.
Good fucking deflection from the topic I was bringing up. Yeah, not related. Why do you keep saying it? It's not related. Are you slow or something?
You get the analogy, Sonny.
What's wrong with you, Mushcain? I was talking about position and speed, and you went to temperature. Do you not see the difference? That's just like the light on your ceiling telling you what the floor is. Just like it. No, shut up for a second. You're an idiot. So explain to me now logically how temperature has to do with your location. Go ahead. Do it.
Okay.
I want to see it. Type it out. I don't want to hear your fucking blowhole. Type it out in the chat. How does temperature have to do with your position and elevation? I want all those speed, position, and elevation included in your temperature, numpty dipshit.
Well,
Put it in the chat. Type it out. I don't want to hear you. Type it out.
As you raise in temperature,
things move faster. Shut the fuck up and type it. I want to see it in print.
I'm not typing.
I want to see you put it in print right here in the chat. Type it out.
We're in VC. It's perfectly analogous.
Okay, good. Put it in the chat then. Type it out. Stop talking and type it out. Put your logical syllogism of how temperature has to do with your position. Make sure you include elevation and location and speed. Increase in speed at altitude. So put that in there with your temperature change.
Nice straw man.
Type it. No, you're the one that's straw man, and I want to see the logical syllogism. Type it out in the chat or shut the fuck up. Stay on mute.
If my grandma had wheels, she would have been a bike. I mean, come on.
No, I don't. I mean, if you're insinuating that that's what we have done, then that's incorrect.
Somebody's lied to you. A lot of times when you find out that this has happened, then you just throw everything away. You know, it's like it shakes your whole worldview up, and you just like, oh, well, you know, I can't trust anything now.
No, I don't. I mean, if you're insinuating that that's what we have done, then that's incorrect.
I wouldn't go so far to say that.
Some people, though, bro. No, I get you. Like, some people have done that. Some people take it way too far. Right, this topic attracts some like hardcore conspiracy theorist type people, right? Where they think freaking everything is faked and right, everything's a conspiracy, and they take it like way too far, right? That we have a bunch of people like that, but the Globe side has people like that too, right? But yeah, we definitely do as well.
Yeah, it's actually like a manipulation tactic, I think. Like sometimes you might do something in front of somebody that like contradicts what you said previously, and you do it on purpose because you want to shake that person's reality. You want to have them be like very unsure about what's going on. So it could be a tactic even. Like sometimes I think that when I'm watching the NASA blooper reels or things that just seem on their face ridiculous, it's like maybe, I'm almost sure that they're doing that on purpose.
Yeah, some of it's so ridiculous. It's like, how could they have possibly let that slip? What's the deal here? Yeah, I don't know. Some people say, "Oh, it's revelation of the method," right? They're rubbing it in people's faces, right? They
wins every time.
But it's not
big names who said it wouldn't happen. But
what's
it's okay.
Collect Bitcoin?
And you do it on purpose because you want to shake that person's reality. You want to have them be like very unsure about what's going on. So it could be a tactic even. Like sometimes I think that when I'm watching the NASA blooper reels or things that just seem on their face ridiculous, it's like maybe, I'm almost sure that they're doing that on purpose.
Yeah, some of it's so ridiculous. It's like, how could they have possibly let that slip? What's the deal here? Yeah, I don't know. Some people say, "Oh, it's revelation of the method," right? They're rubbing it in people's faces, right? They have to tell you what they're doing, right? And they'll show you in subtle ways. But if you're too stupid to pick up on it, then that's on you. We told you. We didn't lie. And that's kind of what some people think's going on, but
yeah, actually, that's kind of the best explanation I've heard, because that really does make sense. Because it would make sense that things are based on consent, because then it kind of absolves the person doing it. It's like, well, you had every option and opportunity to not go along with this. We didn't force your hand. So that would kind of make sense that they're going to reveal what they're doing.
yeah. It almost seems to me, right, just speculating that they use some of this space news that comes out through NASA as like a gauge, like a test to see what kind of grip they have on humanity as a whole, right? Like, what can we tell them, right? Let's tell them that, some crazy shit, right? And see if anyone pushes back, right? And they're like, okay, right, we can tell them that it rains sideways glass rain on exoplanet, blah, blah, blah. And tell them that, there's hairy black holes in space that explain the Hawking paradox, or blah, blah, blah. Like all those kind of things, right? It's like, there's no pushback. Okay, we can tell these people anything at this point.
I have a question. What do you think all these people do then, if they're just lying? Like, what do they do?
Who's lying? That's what I always ask people. And when people say all these people are lying, like, who's lying? I don't think these people are lying. They think the Earth's a globe. Most people think the Earth's a globe.
You say NASA just tells people whatever, like they just tell these people things. What do you think, like, in reality, if these things were real, it would take a bunch of people doing a bunch of calculations, it would take a bunch of physics, all of that. So you're saying they don't actually do any of that. What do you think they're doing with their time?
Who, in particular?
People that work at NASA?
And all of the other companies attached, like millions of people.
Yeah, like which branch of which company are we talking about? Right?
All of them.
Let's get specific.
They all lead to the same thing.
What do you think they're doing?
Right?
So they're playing shadow boxing games and compartmentalized.
Who are you talking about, right? Because these companies are like...
do you think Neil deGrasse Tyson does astrophysics?
He's trying to get you to narrow it so you can attack. But no, the millions of people work in the space industry, are they all playing compartmentalized shadow boxing games and too stupid to realize it? The most intelligent people on Earth?
You think the people... Okay, so how have you evaluated... You think Don Pennett's one of the most intelligent people on Earth?
See how you're singling out? No, the people with advanced degrees who spend years and years...
What you're doing is a blanket statement fallacy.
No, I said millions. It's not blanket, it's general.
No, it's you're blanketing all of them into one, right?
Wait,
when they
you tried to do that. You're saying they're all doing something, so I'm holding you to your word.
Stop talking over me when I'm mid-sentence, dumbass.
Try not to be a snake.
Just go on mute.
Idiot.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, shut up, Glover. Yeah, religious Glover.
Talk over me.
You know, he doesn't know anything about how government operations work, how military compartmentalization, how contractors that are working for NASA. He doesn't have any idea what they're doing. And so one thing he doesn't understand is that governments spend money up to a certain limit so they can get the same amount the next year. They have to spend the money. So there you go. $200 toilets, $1,000 like wrenches, like.
Wait, just to be clear, I'm not asking about the money. Like people like get degrees in these things, but you don't actually think they get degrees in it. What do you think they're doing instead?
Who are you talking about?
So people have degrees in astrophysics. Would you agree or no?
Yes.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
Do you think they actually do astrophysics or no?
Why don't you tell us what astrophysics is?
It's study of the stars.
No, that's astronomy.
Yeah. So astrophysics is a branch of astronomy.
Okay, great. Do you think it's scientific?
That's not what I asked. You think they're not doing that? What do you think they're doing instead?
No, I don't care what they're doing in their theoretics. I want to ask you.
Yeah, what do you think
they're doing? Science.
That's what I think they're doing. What do you think they're doing?
You think they're doing science?
I just said that's what I think they're doing. What do you think they're doing?
Okay, name one valid hypothesis or experiment in astrophysics.
There are a lot. I was just curious what you think they're doing if you don't think they're doing science.
Well, they're not doing science.
Yeah, what do you think they're doing?
They're doing theoretics.
Like what?
Like what? Like they're guessing at things based on things that were made as assumptions, their imaginations. We've spoken to people like that in here, PhDs in astrophysics. They don't know any more about the globe than you do, which is nothing.
So you think they're trying to do science?
No, you don't know what science is. You have less than a fifth grade knowledge of science, and I can prove it.
I'm just asking what you think these people are doing for 4
You think they're
years.
doing science. I want to test your knowledge of science.
No, you made a claim. You think these people are just faking and lying, I guess. What are they doing for 4 plus years?
Astrophysicists are lying. They believe the same thing you do.
I know, but I don't spend 4 plus years on my study of the globe and space.
Yeah, neither do they.
Exactly. So what are they doing for those extra 4 years?
Yeah, they're looking up at the sky and they're guessing at what's going on out there.
4 years?
For 4 years, for 10 years, for 20 or 30 or 50 years, it doesn't fucking matter. They're doing the same thing. They're
so
not.
What are they doing?
They don't have an expertise in the globe or what the globe is. They're looking up at the sky.
Yeah, you're saying, but I want like something that would take 4 years to complete.
Dude, to get those degrees, right? They just have to parrot. They have to parrot the mainstream textbooks to get those degrees, right? They're not testing if the Earth's a globe or anything like that, right? They're doing theoretical physics, right? Like Michio Kaku says, nobody that I'm aware of in my field uses the so-called scientific method, right? And he said they're off by this ridiculous number, right? That you can't even comprehend. It's got that many zeros on the end of it, right? He says it's just like guesswork, right? So it's just like... Sorry?
Are they trying to do science? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, they've got like a framework that they use, that's passed down from, generation of doing this particular thing, right? Based off a theoretical model of what the Earth is and what the universe is, right? And they're professionals at parroting that bullshit, right? And talking about that bullshit. Right, but once you look into the core fundamentals that are required, right, the core values that are all necessary to have any of that exist, right, such as the Earth being a globe, right, that's where they fall short. None of them have actually checked any of that, right? It's all just theoretical, mathematical models, right?
Yeah,
it's not actual reality. It's textbook definition pseudoscience. It's literally... right, textbook definition pseudoscience, what they're doing.
it would be pretty impressive if they got a degree by, like Harvard or something like that, and they studied for 8 years and it was entirely pseudoscience the whole way. But I was just curious, how long have you been doing this for, DJ? Like thinking the Earth was flat?
About since 2016, 2017.
Yeah. So what would that be? About 8 years almost, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And what have you come across that you think is more explanatory and more accurate than what people have been studying for their entire lives, that multiple other people corroborate?
Yeah. So things that can be empirically validated here on Earth, right? Practical demonstrations, long distance observations, laser tests, right? And actually pushing the mainstream, right, when they make claims for actual empirical evidence of those claims, right? Because a lot of guesswork is done, a lot of assumptions are made, and then mathematics is sort of done after those assumptions have been made, right? So we're testing the core variables in their mathematics, right? Like the R value that's in all their math, right? The radius value of the Earth. So if we can go out and there has to be a certain amount of curvature over a certain distance in reality, and it just isn't there, right? We retest over and over and over again in all sorts of different ways. We can't find this curvature that should be there, right? We start looking. It's like, okay, what's going on, guys, right? Who throughout all of history actually went out and measured this and validated this Earth curvature, right? And all you find throughout all of history is more assumptions and calculations based off those assumptions, not actual empirical evidence.
That do you think a calculation can agree with an incorrect assumption?
Well, if you say that the Earth is a globe with a radius of 3,959 miles, right? That means that there has to be a certain amount of curvature over water, right? So if you go out and test a huge body of water for that curvature and there's no curvature there, right? Where do you go from there?
Well, you can use a lot of other things as well. That's not the only way to see if there's curvature to the Earth.
Okay, so that's what we're doing, right? So we're asking people like you that come in, what are you aware of that did validate that the curvature is there?
Oh, the stars. I use the stars.
Okay, so what's a star?
The lights in the sky at night.
Okay, so what is it specifically besides... we agree on that. Okay, so we're in agreement that a star is a light in the sky at night.
Yeah.
Okay, now what?
So if you take a time-lapse video of those, they actually move around a specific point, and they'll move around, it'll move clockwise if you're in the southern hemisphere, and counterclockwise if you're in the northern hemisphere. This is just not possible on a flat surface, any flat surface.
How is... Okay, you don't even...
It is a wraparound.
Percentage, not now with the wraparound, bro.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Percentage, yes, you can raise the wraparound when this conversation's done and we go into another speculation. Check or hold?
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're just making assumptions, right? Once again, that's what I was talking about. Assumptions about how the sky and the ground are related, right? You don't even know what you're looking at in the sky or how it works. You're having to make assumptions on how it works because of what you're being told.
What assumption did I just make?
You're assuming that the Earth has to be a globe because you see something moving in the sky.
I didn't say that. I said that's not possible for it to happen on a flat surface. That's all I said.
Yes, you're assuming it only works on a globe.
I didn't say that. I said it's impossible on a flat surface.
Except it's not. You're just assuming that.
Okay, well, I can prove it's impossible on a flat surface.
Good luck.
Go ahead.
Sure. So you can both model this, or you can just do this in your living room.
You need to prove it's not. You need to prove it's not flat on the surface before you can prove that it's not flat on the surface.
Okay, that sentence made sense. So there's two ways you could do this. You can model it. One way that there's like a 3D flat Earth model. I don't have the link with me, but it's actually like a pretty good way of disproving it. But we'll do it the easier way. Do any of you guys have like watches or like a fan above your head in your house?
Nope.
Okay. Do you guys know what a planetarium looks like?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
You guys don't know what a planetarium looks like?
Yeah, I know what it looks like. Yeah, what now?
Okay. Yeah, so like in a planetarium, we agree that all the stars are projected over your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and they're like outside of your field of view. So at no point ever could you see all stars at once, only if you turn, then you could see all stars, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and we agree that they can turn the projection over your head, or they can keep the projection still over your head, and you yourself can spin as well, right? So it could be one of those two things that will cause apparent movement, right? But in either of those examples, there's only one location of apparent movement, and that apparent movement always only goes in one direction, either clockwise or counterclockwise. You'll never have 2 points of counter.
Yeah, but we don't live in a planetarium.
Well, I'm just saying, the planetarium has a flat surface, right?
I'd like to ask.
Non-analogous, right?
I asked if there's a flat surface on a planetarium, like the ground's flat on a planetarium.
Yeah, but we don't live in a planetarium.
That's not what I asked. I asked if the ground is. I asked if the ground was flat on a planetarium, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess so, roughly.
Yeah. And is there any way that you could make the projection on the planetarium?
This is a false dichotomy.
Is there any
false analogy? It's a false analogy.
Is there any way you can make the projection?
Analogy, bro.
Is there any way that you can make the projection?
That's like me saying, okay, here's a ball, here's a basketball. Let's put water on it. How come the water's not sticking? Therefore, the globe is debunked.
I thought I was going to finish. I thought I could finish.
Why is there 10 people jumping in at once?
Yeah, I wanted to finish the thing. Okay, is there any way that you could? Is there any way
Shut
that
your
you
Dorito shoot, Linda. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, I was
trying to ask you something.
I was having a conversation with DJ.
I make the horizon curve? Yes or no?
I was having a conversation with DJ. Okay, cool.
I don't know why 10 people have to jump in.
I was just, is there any way that you can make the lights in the sky on the planetarium go in 2 opposite directions without seeing both of them at once?
I don't think that the lights in a planetarium have any relation to the lights that we see in reality in the sky, right? Because we can validate exactly what the lights in a planetarium are, right, and how they move, but we can't do that with what we're seeing in reality in the sky. So it's a false analogy. It's fallacious logic.
I didn't ask that. I asked, is there any way that you can make the lights in the planetarium move in 2 different directions without seeing both points at once?
Probably, but it would require some special effects or to use some kind of projection or so. I don't know, dude, right? It's not analogous to what reality is, because we don't know what's going on in the sky in reality. Yeah, it's not analogous.
I never said it was, but
those are physical lights in the sky, right, that are fixed, right? They're like little bulbs, right, and they're moving around mechanically and whatnot, right? So that's not analogous, right, to what we're seeing in the sky.
Yeah, but I didn't ask. I just asked if you're in a planetarium.
In the sky.
I didn't ask that though. I asked if you're in a planetarium, is there any way to get the stars to move around 2 different points without seeing both points in the sky?
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some way to do that, but I'm not aware of it, right? But the whole thing's not analogous.
Do you know someone who is aware of it? Like,
no,
is there anyone that's figured that out?
I don't care about planetariums, right? Look, this is the thing. Okay, so I said, right, we can go and test the actual Earth, right? And you said that you there's different ways to do that, and you said by looking at the sky, and making a bunch of assumptions about the sky is what I said you have to do. Okay, what's okay? So what are the stars and how do they move?
It's not important. It's just that we know that they move and we can see
it is. You don't know what's going on.
You don't need to.
Know what they
apparent motion requires some truths. For things to appear to